Hi, Namaste. I am Meera and I'm a Prana and your host of Copy and Conversation podcast, founder of Maya Katha Storytelling and Let's Make Stories Dialogue. Today, I'm going to be talking with my dear friend, yes, Susan De Salva. This is a continuation of HR and founder talks. The topic, sometimes we put it under the carpet, or we might say, okay, let me talk about this a little later. But more we leave it, more the pressure, more the stress, and frustration. In an organization, employee leave for various reasons, but there is something that they are asking for silently. Are they asking for that extra money, extra perk? Yes, it is required. But beyond that, they are actually asking for clarity and growth. Come, join me as this is a collaboration between Copy and Conversation and HR Upstart by Susan De Selva. We're going to be talking about this. This is going to be a LinkedIn Live. So we might have a lot of some comments coming in where we're going to be just picking it up, talk about that also. The same is going to be available on our podcast, Copy and Conversation, as well as on the social media channel and podcast of HR Upstart. Hop in, let's talk about this. See you there. Good morning. Hi. Hello. Namaste. Uh, this is Meera here and Amma Pranav, founder of Maya Katha Storytelling and Let's Make Stories Dino and a host of Copy and Conversation podcast. We have been speaking about the founder stories or founder and HR talks. Today, we are going to be talking on an interesting topic. Before I could share the details about the topic, I will invite today's guest also on stage. Um, she is Susan, and yeah. Hi, Susan. Morning. Susan, looks like you are on a mute.
Hi, Meera. Can you hear me?
Yes, good enough. I can hear you. Good morning. All well?
Yes, all well.
Okay. So it's always pleasure connecting with you, Susan, whether it's offline or online. And how it goes is I just go directly, talking about Susan or how the day has been, what we're going to be talking, rather than just beating around the bush.
It is. It is. We enjoy our talks, and we've been doing this for a while now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have people joining us. Um, so today's topic, I mean, before I could share, I thought, do you want to just open the topic for the people?
Yeah, this one is part of our founder series where we're going to be talking about today's topic is around when an employee asks you for growth or when they ask you for clarity, what exactly do they mean? So it's kind of like a decoder for founders as well as it works for the employees where they get to understand what what they're talking about and what it sounds like on the other side. What did I say? What did they hear?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the discussion, how we have planned is, we would be having questions definitely. We have loads of questions coming in also, and we have split it into growth, clarity, culture, especially behavior, so on and so forth. So I'll open the. I mean, I'll start with the questions, Susan. So I have my first question: why do employees say they want growth? But in actual sense, what they want is a clarity.
Absolutely. So it's very simple. A lot of employees, especially at this time, right? So this is the time of the year when you are having a lot of your performance appraisals, reviews, etc. going on. So this is the time of the year when somebody comes to you and has that conversation. and the conversation right now would be around growth and what they're expecting over the year, and you would be having conversations with them about what you can do for them, right? So when they say they want growth, a lot of the times a lot of employees come and say, I'm looking for growth this year. So growth is not really the actual thing that they're looking for. When they're saying growth, they don't mean that I want a raise, I want a perk, I want something different, or I want to earn more. They are looking at how do I grow within this organization, which also means what does success look like to me right now for the role that I'm doing. What is the success that I can bring to this, right? So it's like in early stage startups, usually a lot of the roles are very fluid, but employees still are looking for answers like, what is it that I'm responsible for? What does, when I do something, what is good? Like, I mean, what is the acceptable thing that you are looking for, right? Because a lot of times the founders don't have the bandwidth to give real time feedback. So you need to predefine it. That is the growth that they are looking for. um, you know um, I'll just take an example so that it just little becomes a little easier. Let's say, I'll take a marketing executive, for example, right? A marketing executive would come and ask you, saying that I'm looking for growth, and you're thinking that, okay, last year's target is not met. What is he talking about growth, right? We've not met last year's targets. So in this, what he is actually saying, which he's not verbalizing, is, what am I supposed to do here? How will I be judged? Do I need to generate more leads? Do you want me to build the brand? Do you want me to run campaigns? So the various things under that is the clarity he is looking for. So that's where that I term growth with clarity, because both go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Now that we're speaking about clarity part, so can you define like what is that good clarity actually looks like?
Right. So good clarity depends on, how the managers are going to interpret it for the employees, right? So typically, when I say manager, I mean two levels of manager. Okay, there are companies where the founder himself is the manager of everybody, and there are companies where you have the founder, and then you have another layer who's translating whatever the founder wants. The founder's vision is going into the to the employees, right? So here it is. So it's two levels of things. I'll talk about when it is just the founder, and when it's the founder playing manager, how the founder can give clarity. And then I talk about how the manager, between the founder and the manager, how the clarity needs to set in so that the manager can then translate it to the employee, right? So when it is when the founder's job it is, the founder needs to be able to translate it into ownership, and to be able to give that person a clarity that what are you responsible for, what it is that is in your hands, which you are responsible for, which you will grow. And in that grow, again, like we discussed a few minutes ago, what are those things that you need to do which will make sure that this sounds good? This is what do I say, you've met the parameters that are required for you to be termed as a successful employee. You've succeeded in your role. So what are those parameters? The founder needs to establish that. If it's the manager, that is one level
Hmm.
down, then the founder
Yeah.
needs to clarify to the manager two levels, right? So what
Okay.
does success look for you? What does success look for your employee? What do I
Okay.
need from you to generate? Sometimes in small organizations, the manager himself won't be equipped to know what it looks like, and to be able to translate that goal, that KRA, downwards, so that they are able to give that clarity to the employee at the bottom.
So this actually made me ask another question. I would say tailgating. Okay. So we are speaking about manager, we're talking about ownership, we're talking about clarity part. So in the previous podcast, if you remember, we spoke about communication getting blurred, right? Over here, so I feel it's a clarity gap. So what role does a manager have? How can he, for example, a founder becomes a manager, or a founder might be assigned somebody to take care of this particular function. So how can a manager help in mending, or what is it, reducing the gap?
So it's again, it goes back to a similar concept where, the communication becomes the key. So we need communication to be seamless in these things. And oftentimes we don't write down these specifics that we want of people, right? So here it becomes important for you to document these things. So some part of the clarity comes in what you communicate, some part also comes in how do you communicate. So you should be able to give that correct type of good clarity where there are clear priorities, defined metrics which are written down, which are documented somewhere. It shouldn't be, because oftentimes we don't tend to document a lot of things because
Yeah.
on the fly we're running with things. There's so many things that are going on that we don't get the time to really sit down and write things. And you nowadays, unlike what it was when I started my career, now you even have AI tools which will take notes. So you could use
Yes.
as simple as that, but make sure that all these things get defined. Defining writing is one part. The second part is checking in on what you have written and what you've defined.
Despite all these documentation, Susan, employees feel unclear. So if you can throw some light on this particular aspect.
Sometimes, yeah, that is because, see, they feel unclear for two reasons. Okay, in startups, one of the things that happens is the goalpost is forever changing. What I started chasing today might change next week. It's not, I'm what should I say, I'm exaggerating the situation. It doesn't change week on week, but it might change, 2 3 months down the line. We were chasing this type of work. 2 3 months down the line, we may be chasing a different type of work. So in this scenario, what happens to the employee is, the employee is very unclear that have I done what I needed to do. And this is not, I won't say this is a problem with only startups, but this is a problem with a lot of organizations where we have something called a recency bias, right? So 3 months ago I was working on something else, and now the I was doing one thing, but now I am doing another thing. So will my manager remember what I did there? So
Hmm.
the employee themselves are confused as to how their performance gets evaluated in this whole scenario. Do they remember that? And here is
Hmm.
where it becomes important. Documentation becomes important again, where we need the founders, we need the managers to document. Okay, we started on this path, we stopped here, we changed. Okay, but again here, I should bring in that in this scenario it's also important for a founder to keep some level of transparency. Not
Hmm.
too much transparency, but just enough for them to be able to explain to the to their employees that why did we change course, what was it, what was the justification. Otherwise the ambiguity comes in. The managers and the employees, I'm talking about everybody below the founder. Okay, so you
Yes.
have
Yes.
everybody below the founder is not clear why did we change direction suddenly. And
Hmm.
that leads to that ambiguity, and it leads to employees talking about things like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Yesterday we did this, but tomorrow we are doing something else, right? So the current situation in the Middle East is a good example. We keep hearing of
Yeah.
certain leaders taking different actions at different times, but the communication has not gone down the line. So while there may be an overall strategy in mind, it appears that certain decisions are very random.
Hmm. I'm going to the backbone part. Um, we were talking about clarity, manager, the communication, how to build, reduce the gap. So we spoke about ownership also, culture. How is this understood, and how is this misunderstood also?
So I just re-clarify. You're asking me how does culture get misunderstood
Yes.
within the
Yeah. Yeah.
culture is one of the most abused words in a
Yeah.
startup. In the startup world, culture is the most abused word, because nobody knows what is culture. And to put it in Hindi, I would say, kis chidiya ka naam hai is the kind of feeling
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
get, right?
Yeah. True.
So
True.
culture is very simple. Founders think that, my culture is what I'm doing is the energy I'm bringing in, the vibe that I am keeping in the organization, the values that we have. These are all culture, but you can't write this down, right? And
Yes.
but when you look at it from an employee's perspective, employees are not thinking about, all these energy and the vibe and the values that are there. They're thinking about, I see culture in what are the decisions that are being made, what are the things that happen, how is things done within the organization. That is actually the culture that you're building.
Hmm.
Every day that you are reinforcing, how a particular thing gets done is the culture that is being built, right? So I'll just give you an example. Okay, I had written about this a while ago on one of my LinkedIn posts, where we spoke about culture in an organization where we had different types of employees, right? So
Hmm.
there was
Hmm. Hmm.
leave and startup is something that doesn't go very well. So when
Hmm.
you want to take leave in a startup, oftentimes, there are a whole lot of other things that you need to complete before you can actually peacefully take leave, right? So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
working in a startup, leave becomes like almost like, a word that don't talk to me about this, right? So there was this company that I support, where the founder, at the beginning of the year, we told all our employees that, look, please, be careful of the type of leave you take, don't take unnecessary leave, and we'll help you through the whole thing, right? So there were employees who listened to us, and
Okay.
there were employees who did not listen to us. So there were employees who still continuously took leave. Every month they kept taking leave, and they kept, whatever they accrued, they took it, they finished it. So at the end of the year,
Hmm.
they didn't have anything left, and that was that. But there was also one particular employee who did not take that leave,
Okay.
right? So through the year, this employee made sure that the amount of leave that was taken was very minimal, extremely urgent cases, only very valid, too sick to come to office, and so on. At the end of the year, the employee thought that, okay, I have now accumulated like about 10-15 days of leave because I supported the company. At the end of the year, the employee decided that I will take this leave and
Hmm.
apply it for the whole block of 10 days, right?
Okay. Okay.
But also because it was year end and there were a lot of priorities happening, and there was a lot of things. There was a push on sales, there was a push on deliveries, and everything was happening at that time. The founder was in a tight position of, do I approve this leave or do I not approve this leave,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you tell me what is the right decision here, and where the culture got built. You know, if you approve the leave, you build a positive culture on saying that, okay, even when things are tough, if I approve
You.
this, I am rewarding somebody who stood by me the whole year. So
Holy.
that is the
Yes.
culture you build. And if you
Yeah.
denied the leave, you built a culture saying that, I did, I asked you to support me, but when it came to you and you needed some help, or you wanted to take time off because you had earned it, I still was not able to stand up for you.
Okay. So,
So that's the culture, that is
yes.
culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, ये कौन सी चिड़िया का नाम है? किस देश का
Yeah.
नाम है? That's what the people say in Hindi, for that matter. So, you gave me, like um, an insight, and I have few words that just come here and there, and I'm just trying to string them together and put it in the form of a question. So, so now it is about prioritizing. So it could be like, for example, an employee prioritizing the year-end work, or it could be the founder prioritizing that, yeah, this guy stood with me throughout the year. Let me give him leave, or let me ask him to stay for some more time. How the employee. So it is all about shifting, or it's like you keep shifting the gear, right, when you are driving. So it's shifting priorities, right? And to that, I have one more thing attached to it. How do shifting priorities in startups create that hidden anxiety in the teams?
So this is a little bit around.
As you're sharing what you're sharing, we have a comment from Kirti Gupta. Hi, Kirti. Thanks for joining. She has mentioned over here. We will take it, in the course of time, Kirti. Susan, she says, can you share a real, I think, real story or real situation, how culture transformation the business. Okay, how culture transforms the business. Yes, I think it says how culture transforms the business. Yeah.
Right. So, thank you for your question, Kirti. One of the ways that culture transforms a business is culture is not built in a day. It's built in. It's like small pebbles that go in, into that water pot, which finally overflows and becomes full. So, every bit of work that you do towards culture, which is reinforcing a positive culture. Let's say that let's I just gave an example on the leave part, but let me give an example on let's say on integrity or on honesty. These are things which every organization says that we want, right? So every organization says honesty is important to us, and it is one of our core values, and we want to build a culture around honesty. Now let's assume that in every interaction honesty is put to the forefront. In that situation they are building that culture of honesty. Like, if if an employee came and said, I think we spoke about this in our last podcast as well, where your
Yes. Yes.
employee came and said that I was too drunk to come to office, or I had a hangover and I couldn't come to office, and that is the honesty you're actually, you want to reward that honesty and you want to build it into a culture. Then in that scenario the founder has to encourage that honesty that he's getting. Now what he
Yeah.
does with that honesty is a different thing, right? It
Hmm.
doesn't mean because somebody was honest you have to accept that honesty and reward them for that honesty. But you also need to be able to encourage that honesty and say that yes, I understand, and I appreciate the fact that you are telling me that you were too drunk to come into office, but at the same time I'd like to tell you that you've exhausted all leaves, and so while I would like to still encourage you to be honest and come back to me, I still have to put you on loss of pay for today. So
Yes.
that
Yeah.
is the culture that you're building. You're still saying that, if you see on both sides, there was honesty. The employee came
Hmm.
and honestly said that, I was too drunk to come into office. And the manager
Yes.
very honestly told him that, look, I encourage and I support that you've been honest. But, honestly, we don't have leave that you have accumulated that I can allow you to use. So you will have to be on a loss of pay. So these are the sort of things that build, and all such interactions, in every little thing. You're not able to pay bonus this month because you have a cash crunch. Be honest, let the team,
Hmm.
we have a cash crunch. We were expecting some payments and that didn't come. But mind you, this will only hold true if you use it honestly. Every time you don't want to pay bonus, you have money in the bank, but you're telling them client didn't
You're
come
telling
back
this?
to payment,
Yeah.
then it'll fall flat. So it
Trust
works
is
only
lost.
when it's a give and take. I
Yeah.
hope that answered your question, Kirti.
Katie, do leave us a comment. We'll get to know. You have anything else more to share? Also, just put it in the comments and we will take it. So, this leave, this honesty, being upfront about what the person, employee is going through, or the founder for that matter. It also, making me to ask you this question on the flexibility part. So, what does flexibility actually mean to employees today?
This is another part of culture itself. Okay,
Yes.
that's a
Yes.
that's a very very hot thing that you picked up on, Meera. So flexibility. Today, when employees come and say flexibility, most founders, the first thing they think about is, oh, he wants work from home.
A conscious interruption, Susan. Though I cannot bring it out, as such, but I'm sure you would have heard about this news also. How, for example, a Gen Z came for a meeting, right? So one is about the honesty. There, it also speaks about the culture part. How it did rounds in the Instagram also, because it's again talking about the flexibility part. Yes.
Yes, 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 absolutely. So, like I said, most founders think that when an employee says flexibility, it means, work from home or hybrid mode of work and so on. When the founder says flexible, the employee hears, you can work anytime. So, it works both ways, right? So when the employee says, I want flexibility, the employer hears, I want work from home. And when the employer says, we are flexible, the employee thinks, I can work anytime, anywhere, whatever is the thing. But what the reality is, it finally becomes everybody works all the time, right, from
Hmm.
home or anywhere else or whatever. So most of
Yes.
the time, when you say flexibility also, you need to be able to put some boundaries around it.
Hmm.
You can offer your employees flexibility within a certain boundary.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
you say flexibility, it doesn't have to be that we are flexible on everything. We're flexible on which days you'll take leave. Like, I want to work this Sunday, but I want Monday off.
Hmm.
That is not flexibility that you can afford to give, because if your company doesn't work on Sundays, then that's not a flexibility you can allow. But you can allow like a flexibility of, I'll start at 8 and finish at 4 today, because I have something else planned after 4. To
Hmm.
flexibility of, I'm not working today, but I'll work tomorrow. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. So you
It
set a
doesn't work.
boundary around what you need, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
even, and I don't mean it only from where you work or when you work, I also mean
Hmm.
this in terms of like targets, or in terms of performance or whatever, right? So it could be that this week I have something going on, so my performance will drop a little bit. I will not be able to meet the goals that I have set for myself for this
Hmm.
week, but I will catch up with those next week.
Hmm.
Flexibility also does not mean that you don't do your work. It means you do your work, but you know in a little more flexible way.
Okay. So I have one question. So I'm going to tailgate this question with the another question, Susan. Um, if you have, I mean, you have been in the HR function at a senior level in the organization. You have seen so many employees around. So different kinds of employees you would come across: younger, middle-aged, older, various. Some employees speak to you. Some people, they don't come forward and share what they are going through. Can we call them, they are silent, or they go silent all of a sudden, right? So it is on this part. And the other thing is, like, how do younger employees interpret the silence and lack of feedback? Because feedback is such an important thing. Again, sharing feedback or sharing experiences is connected to the culture part, the flexibility part. I mean, whatever we've been discussing from the beginning up until now. Do share this with us now.
Thanks, Mira. So, I'll talk about it from more from a Gen Z perspective, because a lot of current employees who are in the so-called Gen Z age group, uh, founders who are older are finding it difficult to address
Hmm.
this. And I spoke
Hmm.
about this. I think I spoke about it a little while in one of the posts that we had made on LinkedIn as well. Is that Gen Z is constantly looking for validation and feedback, right? So they have not worked before, but this is a generation that has also been told that, ask for whatever, find
Yes.
out,
Yes.
get clarity, seek information before you go forward. So they tend to do that. We tend to see a lot of questions coming in from Gen Z, but
Hmm.
then that's because they have been given that information to go look for more information, right? So they've been conditioned that don't assume, go and ask.
Go and
you know
ask. Yes.
go and ask. If you don't
And they've
know,
been
ask.
told, don't wait. Don't wait. Just
Don't
go
wait.
ahead and
Yeah.
ask. Yes.
Go ahead and ask. Don't wait for something. Go ahead and ask. Get your things done, and so on. And sometimes, because our employees are young, and we are from a slightly different generation, we may not find it convenient for us to go and tell our employees this, right? So
Hmm.
every time,
Hmm.
so they keep coming back to us. So the silence is one part. The You'll find that the silence is lesser on the Gen Z part and higher on
Hmm.
the slightly older part. So you might look at your your Gen Alpha
Millennials like us.
or millennial, or
Yeah.
you'll find the silence there.
Yes. Yes.
find there, you'll not find the silence in the Gen Z. The Gen Z is somebody who is expecting frequent answers from you on
Yeah.
whether they're going in the right direction. One
Yes.
step and two questions.
Yes.
So that is more like it. And I'm actually minimizing by saying two questions. They probably have 10 questions, but that is what they have been conditioned for. So you need to understand their conditioning and then work with them instead of expecting them to work with our conditioning. So we have to remember at all times that this is a generation that was born with a mobile in their hand.
Yes. It looks like they literally swallowed it.
Yeah, it's like, they knew how to swipe before, they could do any other action. So
Exactly.
that we need to remember that they are looking, they are not assuming anything. They are looking for validation. They are looking for correction. If they are on the right path, they are looking for you to correct them and tell them that, you're doing a good job.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
that is what is the information that is out there for them to learn from. While
Yes.
in the previous generations, in the different time blocks of workers that we have, we never had that type of information.
Hmm.
you
Yes.
know um, if I take myself, and I'm quite outdated in this, if, when I started work, a lot of the times I was told to sit back and observe what everyone else was doing.
Hmm.
Never encouraged to go and ask what it is and seek clarification and get on to a different you know course correct soon enough. So
Yes.
oftentimes we did a lot of things assuming that was the right thing, but we had to come back and course correct. We have been conditioning these younger generations to not make the mistakes we made, and this is one of
Yes.
them. So they seek
Yes.
feedback, and it is no feedback is what do I say, that's not a good thing for them. So it's like when you a lot of people have disabled that blue tick on a WhatsApp,
Hmm. Yes.
right? You
Yes.
send a message, you're constantly wondering, has it reached? Has it reached?
Has it
Have they read?
reached? Have they
But
read? Yes.
people who see the blue tick immediately know it's reached. So they're waiting for that blue tick from us.
Yes, yes, yes. You know what, Sujan, we started this discussion with the clarity, and then we were talking about the growth. We touched upon the sensitive part, the culture. We were actually talking about the behavior part also. Now, you mentioned about the perks. We spoke about the compensation also. Sometimes the compensation, they are competitive. They're really good, but then still people leave. I mean, this is something like what is the chicken the egg story, we can call it as. So this trend, or this is a trend that will continue always. So some bit that you can share from your end on this.
Yeah. So mostly, like, I mean, we see people going. Sorry.
That's
My,
pretty natural. It's okay. He's quite excited. He's joining our conversation, and we should
yeah,
invite
yeah.
him
He,
also
he,
because
he
he's got
also
lots of.
wants.
He's been
Yeah.
growing with the HR mommy, and he has lots of experiences to share. So we should allow him to talk also.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, go ahead.
But
That's okay.
either way, so
Understandable.
we were talking
Yeah.
about compensation. When compensation is competitive and everything seems to be right, yet we are seeing employees going. So this comes back to the previous question we were talking about, Mira, where we were
Yes.
talking about, what is the feedback we are giving, what is the
Hmm.
clarity we are giving to these employees. So again, today, because in a startup world, things are moving at this level of speed, it is important for us that they're not to understand that they're not leaving only for the money. There was a generation that worked for money. The current generation is not working for money, they're working for luxuries and so on, right? So
Yes.
here
It's
it
a vibe. What do you call it as a vibe?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
So here, what they're working for is their basics are taken care of, and they're working for the next level of what they can get. Right. So the job is not the main provider of their income, while it may be one of the
Hmm.
providers of their income.
Yes.
So why do they
Yes.
leave even despite the salary being competitive? because they have not understood what they're doing. They don't know how they are contributing. It's very important for them to contribute to something. So you need to be inclusive with them. You need to let them know how they are contributing, what they are doing, how does it affect. And this is a generation that has not heard a lot of criticism for itself. So and a lot of startup founders, and this, I won't say this is startup founder problem only, it's a manager problem overall. A lot
Yes,
of managers
yes.
hesitate to give good feedback, while they're
Hmm.
willing to give bad feedback, right?
Ah,
So right, so you there are two types: you great job, and hey, why did you do
how
this?
you
You
sugarcoat
could
it,
have,
right?
yeah, this could have been done better. So what they're not hearing and what they don't understand is, if 80% was not spoken about, it means that 80% is good. The 20% that I got corrected on is the part that I need
Hmm.
to focus on to correct myself. But
Yes.
that current generation which has not heard criticism automatically goes back to, I didn't hear anything good, I only heard bad things, so I'm not doing a good job,
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
right?
only
So
seeing the other side of the what to say. Like they always give this classic example, Susan. There is a white paper, there is a dot, and all of us just most of this we just look at the dot rather than the entire space that is there where you can fill more. Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Go
That's a
ahead,
good
add on yours.
analogy, actually. Yeah, that's exactly what happens, right? So they don't know when they're doing well. The
Yeah.
feedback is, the feedback they're getting is a lot of corrections, and
Hmm.
we have to remember that, the current schooling system also is such that negative feedback is not given,
Yeah,
right?
it
So
is
you're
also
not
there.
hearing negative feedback even in school. You're not hearing anywhere. They're coming to their first job, and any negative feedback is taken extremely personally.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying that don't give the negative feedback. I'm saying that give the positive feedback as well.
Yes, yes.
So the
Uh,
positive feedback is very important, and that is what will drive loyalty. Given that this generation is not working for money, and they're not working to support themselves, they're probably being supported in various other manners, and their
yes.
tolerance to all this is less. We need to ensure that we are working with them, and our methodologies of working with them are adapted to what they need rather than trying to get them to adapt to us. So let's face it,
Absolutely.
we need them.
Absolutely. What I feel is, Susan, it is, I see our own reflection in them. Because Gen Z, as such, they grew up from the swipe world time, right? From when we had the swipe. And they've been listening to the stories from their elders, who are nothing but we millennials or little older than us also. So, what we couldn't accomplish, what we couldn't share openly. They could be, for example, a parent would have spoken at home in front of the Gen Z that their children that yeah, this is a scenario at offers. I've been silent about the feedback that was shared, so they've been hearing this, and they are growing in a world where, like you mentioned, I don't bother. I will go ahead and share what I have in my mind. I feel this is wrong. Yeah, this is wrong. Might be in our time we were conditioned that like be careful, don't say that. What if you say this, they might take the other way. So the culture changed, and now the culture is also changing for that matter. This also makes me to ask you, any session, Susan, when I'm with my guests, and when I'm talking to you especially, I don't want to bring an end to it, but nevertheless we end it to start yet again with another title or another note. We've been talking about the culture, the gap, clarity gap, the growth, the behavior, everything. I mean, it is not a separate topic. It's all interconnected. Like you have a string that connects all the beads together, and when we knot it together, it stays intact. So the knot, if I would bring an analogy, like like for example, sometimes a founder or the manager, the senior's behavior unintentionally, it is affecting. So you have something to share on this particular aspect, how it is affecting, or I mean, I wouldn't say we are going to give a direct solution, but what can bring a little change?
So, like we just spoke about, what can bring a change is for us to be aware of the different people that we are working with. Uh, in a team always there will be different people and different generations, I should say, because as our conversation has progressed, we have gone quite deeply into how the Gen Z reacts and how the Gen Z
Yes.
works in various situations. So while a normal team does not only comprise of Gen Zs, or it does not comprise of only
Hmm.
millennials, or so on, it comprises of various levels of people within an organization.
Hmm.
So when you're in a small team, when you're in a very large organization, let me give the analogy of a very large organization and then bring it back to a small team. When you're in a very
Sure.
large organization, it's okay to paint broad pictures, broad strokes of things, and say that this is how everybody is going to be treated, because you're so large that you cannot personalize, and
Hmm.
large that you can attract that talent that you need, and different people are coming to work with you, as you put out job roles in the market. While you're a small organization, you cannot afford to paint in broad strokes. You will have to be specific to each of the groups that is there. If you have 5 Gen Zs, focus and figure out how you are going to deal with that group. If you
Hmm.
have another group of millennials, you are more experienced with that group, you know how they are
Hmm.
going to react. So we need to personalize that interaction with each of our team members, especially in small teams. And when I say small teams, I mean this happens up to the size of 50. Probably over 50
Hmm.
you can make a bigger generalization.
Hmm.
And we remember that, as an organization, we have spent time training these people, hiring these people, we've brought in these people. Let's not lose them because, we don't know how to talk to them or how to get work from them. So
Yes. Yes.
that is that. I leave you with that as the bottom line. Let's not lose people because we don't know how to handle them.
Yes. It's all about the structure. It is about the people management, right? So, thank you so very much. Something that you want to share as an end note, Susan, for this topic that we are talking today. Your team isn't asking for those perks or the extra money. Yes, that is also important, but it's about the clarity.
They're
Yes.
talking about clarity, absolutely. They're talking about clarity. They are asking to be heard. They're asking to be spoken to. They're asking for you to give them feedback. So oftentimes in this April, don't look at only, while you're looking at salary increments and performance reviews, don't look only on how much of salary increase can I do for my employees. Look from the perspective of what are all the other things I can give them as benefits, which could be in these areas of clarity, feedback, definition of success, and so on.
Absolutely. You said it, Susan. And I would say we have spoken about this topic at the right time. Every day is a right time. But today, being April 1, 2026, it's the beginning of the financial year, right? And on the first day, we are talking about this. Let's wish this experience that we have shared, more than talking this as a message, because all are receiving message, all know what we are talking, they have their experience also. I wish what we shared today, the experience that you shared, it will travel furthermore and it should help some or the other person. That's the way I'm looking at it. Thank you so much, Susan, for joining in.
Thank you, Meera. Thank you. Pleasure always to speak to you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
And to the folks who joined us online, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for being there and your experience also. We will be coming back with yet another topic. I am so excited to share the topic, but I don't want to, spill the beans now. I will share that again, I mean, soon on our LinkedIn, also and social media update. So this conversation, this discussion is part of Copy and Conversation by Meera, yeah, an Amapreneur, and in collaboration with Susan's HR Upstart. This link, this podcast will be available here on LinkedIn, as well as the recording will be up soon on our podcast channel, as well as social media. As we are signing off, I have my mentor and a good friend, Dr. Syed Buhari. He has a question here. I'll just read it out to you, Susan. They ask for mutual respect and how we make them feel at workplace.
Absolutely. Mutual respect. we need to be very conscious of the fact of mutual respect, because you have to give before you receive. And
Yes.
uh, that is the crux to respect and mutual respect. Possibly not everybody understands it when they are younger, but they certainly will figure it out as they get older.
Absolutely. Experience is one thing that will teach us the lesson for a lifetime. Thank you for joining in, Bahari ji. And with that, thanks to all of you for being here. And see you soon with yet another topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.